exception of a clergyman in semi-mufti. A military-looking man, his fair moustache strongly waxed, and carrying a dispatch box, walked down the platform beside the boat train. He selected a first-class compartment. Two men followed him closely, but unobtrusively. One posted himself by the window and kept a steady lookout onto the platform. The guard had just put his whistle to his mouth when a man came running down the platform. It was only a clergyman, and the man at the window gave a smile. With a rush, the clergyman made for the compartment. Frantically, he threw his bag, umbrella, and papers into the carriage. The train had just begun to move. I thought I'd lost it, exclaimed the intruder, taking off his hat and wiping perspiration from his forehead. It was a close shave. Oh, thank you, he added, as one of the men rather ungraciously picked up his bag and papers from the floor, at the same time eyeing him closely. But Hazell, in his disguise, opened the Guardian with an easy air, looking round at his three companions in such a naturally inquisitive manner as to thoroughly disarm them. The colonel lit a cigar and said, half apologetically, "I hope you don't mind smoking?" "Oh, not at all," returned the clergyman with an amiable smile. Hazell was beginning, as he read his paper, to take stock of his surroundings and the positions in which the three were seated. Immediately opposite sat Colonel von Kriegen, watchful and alert. Beside the colonel was the precious dispatch box. On the next seat, guarding the dispatch box on that side, sat one of the secret police agents, while the other had placed himself next to Hazell and, consequently, opposite the box, which was thus thoroughly guarded at all points. The chances of carrying out his plan were very much against him. He had really hoped to secure a seat beside the box. After a bit, he looked out of the window, watching the country as they sped through it. Once, just as they were passing through a station, he leant his head out of the window. The three men exchanged glances. The colonel smiled and shook his head. Hazell sat down, took out a cigarette, and placed it in his mouth. Then he began feeling in his waistcoat pocket for a match. As it was apparent that the clergyman could find no matches, the colonel's politeness came to the front. "Can I offer you a light, sir?" "Oh, thanks," replied Hazell, shifting to the edge of his seat. "Perhaps I may take one from your cigar." Every action that followed had been most carefully thought out. As he leant over towards the German, he held the cigarette with the first and second fingers of his right hand, with the end of it in his mouth. He kept his eyes fixed on the colonel's. Meanwhile, his left hand went out through the open window, dropped over the sill, remained there for a moment, then came back and crossed over the front of his body stealthily with the palm downwards. It was all over in a second before the three Germans had time to grasp what was happening. He had his face close to the colonel's, and he had taken a puff at the cigarette, when suddenly his left hand swooped down on the handle of the dispatch box. His right hand flew forward into the colonel's face, and before the colonel could recover, or either of the others take action, Hazell had tossed the dispatch box out of the window. They were on him at once. He sprang up, back to the window, and made a little struggle, but the colonel and one of the others had him on the seat in no time. Meanwhile, the third man had pulled the electric safety signal and looked back along the line. "I can see it!" he cried triumphantly. The whole affair had taken place so suddenly that the train began to pull up within 15 or 20 seconds. The guard was out of his van in an instant, running along beside the train. "What is it?" The agent beckoned him to come up. Heads were out of windows, and this matter was private, so the guard climbed onto the footboard. "A dispatch box has been thrown out of the train," whispered the agent. "We have the man here, but we must get the case. It's only a little way back." "Very good, sir," replied the guard quietly, waving an arm towards the rear of the train. The train began to reverse, and very soon a small dark object could be seen alongside the rails. As they drew close, the guard held out his hand, motionless. The train stopped, and he jumped off. "Is this it?" "Yes," exclaimed the colonel. "Thank you, guard. Here's something for your trouble. We'll hand the fellow to the police at Dovehalven." Colonel von Kriegen lit another cigar as the train went on and looked at Hazell. "I'm afraid you didn't quite succeed, sir. Who put you up to this?" "I accept the entire responsibility," replied Hazell. "Failure